Baba, Masha Basa Baba, Masha Baba, Masha Baba, Masha Baba, Masha Basa Baba.
Hello Internet, welcome to my gaming and streaming PC build. And we finally got all the parts we need and we're gonna start building it. Couple disclaimers first. This is my first gaming streaming PC and it's actually my first desktop PC in 10 years. I've been using only laptops. So you don't get the best building advice from me. What you will get is the insight of what it is to be a noob and still build a high-end gaming streaming PC all in one rig. A second disclaimer is that this build is value for money. It's sort of focused on the value rather than the best looks. But at the same time, still try to get the best performance for the money we spend on it. And still keeping in relatively similar color schemes. And let's take a look at our components. And first is the processor 5820K i7 with 6 cores. It's the beautiful processor. Gonna have all the processing power we need for gaming and streaming from one rig. And it's overclocks really well. It's been around for a long time. One of the most affordable 6-core processor out there. Next is the X99A MSI Gaming 7 motherboard. Beautiful feature-packed motherboard, allows good overclocking, has good audio in it, so that's why we have it right here. It's not the best value for money when you buy it new, but I got it from the Amazon warehouse deals and it had really juicy discount on it. Next is the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060 overclocked version, 6GB dedicated memory. Republic of Gamers Strix, I don't really know why such a long name for this video card, but it's beautiful. And my last desktop PC had dedicated video card with 128 megabytes of memory. So it's a ginormous leap for me and I really want to see what this thing gonna be able to do for me. Next up is our RAM. We got two 8GB sticks of DDR4 from Corsair Vengeance with the white LEDs on them. White LEDs, this is red and black, and we can set it for red and black as well, white LEDs. It was on a discount when I bought it, so that's why we have it. Next up is this bad boy right here. It's a Noctua NH-D15 air cooler and it's best value for money cooling you can get. It's ginormous, it outperforms all-in-one liquid coolers often, and they cost 30% more than this guy right here. Of course, it's kinda ugly looking at the ginormous block of metal right here in your side panel, but the value for money is value for money, and it's really silent. It has a lot going for it, therefore it's in our build. Next is the Corsair CX600 watt power supply unit. It's reliable, been around for a long time, it's bronze 80 plus rated, so yes, that's why we have it right here. For our storage we chose SanDisk SSD 120GB and Western Digital 1TB hard drive. All the storage we're gonna need and we are able to upgrade in the future. And of course, we're going to be building it in this beautiful case right here, made by Fantex. It's N2 Pro M, beautiful case, side panel, red LED fans at the front and at the back. A lot of space for the cooling solution, our cooling solution, big clearance. Very excited to see how it's going to be to build in this case. So, without further ado, guys, let's just start building. So here you see me taking off unscrewing the thumb screws and taking off the side panel. Easy stuff, accessory box, and managing some cables just to get them away for the installment of the motherboard. Case comes with zip ties and a lot of screws. I actually used very little of those screws in my build. I don't know what the rest of them are for.
Unboxing the motherboard, which is very gorgeous motherboard, quality product. Setting it on a box, non-conductive surface, and checking the manual. Getting ready for the installment. There I'm unboxing my CPU, and there's a little arrow in the corner of the CPU, which corresponds to the arrow on the socket, which allows you to kind of orient in the correct way. And you have to push those levers to set it in place. It's kind of a lot of force required, but it's okay. Here I set up my case on the side, and if you can tell, there are pre-placed standoffs on the case so the motherboard doesn't short anywhere. And before I actually put in the motherboard, I had to put the backplate in, which is often people forget about it. So I actually did it even before I started doing this video, one day before, just so I don't forget. So I'm using the screws that came with the case and gonna just screw in the motherboard. It's gonna take me some time to pick out all the screws I need and screw them in. But so far I really like the case and the quality of it, and the motherboard looks very nice inside. So I'm using M3 screws as specified in the manual. There should be 9 screws. All screws are in place, and now I'm checking the manual to see which RAM slot should be populated first, because I'm using only 2 RAM sticks, dual channel, and those outer ones supposed to be used first in this particular motherboard. Next, we're gonna unbox this gigantic CPU cooler, and it's a premium product. The box, everything is packed so nicely and safe. A lot of accessories come with it. I really like this product. It is massive, like it is really massive, but it will provide enough cooling. So I see all the accessories, the manual. We choose in the 2011 socket because it has accessories for multiple sockets. But this one is pretty easy. You just install standoffs on which you mount sort of a socket for the cooler. It's quite fast process, nothing hard. What I found really hard about it is I should have connected cables before I installed this gigantic cooler, because it leaves you really little space between the cooler and the case. Here I'm gonna use thermal paste, which comes with the cooler, and you should use just in the middle, just put a uncooked rice grain amount of paste and just let the gravity do the rest. You know, when you screw in your cooler, it's gonna press down and gonna spread evenly, because if you try to spread it with your hand, you most likely gonna leave some air bubbles in the paste, which is not the best idea to So now I'm gonna try to install the fans on the cooler, and I actually did my first attempt with the ugly way putting the cable on top. Now I figured it out. I moved the cable down so make it nicer, a little bit nicer looking. And here, what I talked about previously, I'm struggling really hard, a lot of swearing. I'm trying to connect my 4-pin fan connector to the CPU fan connector on the motherboard, and I actually cut my fingers a little bit on a radiator of the cooler. It's quite sharp, not too much, but because I was really pushing it, trying to get in there to connect that fan, I cut my hands a little bit. So another one is much easier, but because of the RAM dim stick, it has to be a little bit higher, but it's not a problem in this case because we have plenty of clearance for the cooling. Here I unbox our power supply. It's non-module, so all the cables are attached, and what I actually recommend is just you pick exactly cables you need if you know which ones you need, and just kind of stick them, bundle them together, and zip tie them so they don't get in your way when you're installing. And what I did here wrong, I used uh, screws provided with case instead of the screws provided with the power supply itself, and it's partially me being confused because so many screws were supplied with case. I didn't even check whether the power supply has its own screws, and it kind of held in place, but there was a problem with the stop screw, and I'm having problems right now. You can see I actually reinstalled the real screws coming with power supply later. So yeah, I'm trying to just hide away all the massive cables and picking the ones I need, and funnel them through to the places where I'm gonna need them to connect to the motherboard or GPU. It's a lot of cables, and actually it's kind of confusing at the beginning, but then you fast can understand what's going on. So 24-pin connector for the ATX power connected to the motherboard. There's only one orientation you can connect it, and again I'm having trouble connecting my CPU power. 8-pin connector, simply because of this big cooler. Now is the time to push all the cables through and find where connectors are for them on the motherboard. Just take a little time to make it nice so no cables are visible when your system is ready. And also you can see the 4-pin connector on a fan which connects to a motherboard, and there's an old Molex connector which came with my case fans, which is Molex connector is very old, which used to connect straight to the power supply, but we don't need it because our motherboard is pretty new. So you can actually cut the old Molex connector, but you have to be careful to cut it really short wires and then isolate them so you don't create any short somewhere. And so yeah, you can see that white connector is right in front there. It's kind of annoying. I didn't know what to do with it at first, but then I found out you can just cut it off. Now I'm unboxing my 1 TB hard drive and put it in, just sliding in at the back in hard drive tray. And you could do also the same thing with the SSD, but I decided to put it at the back. Just screw it in at the there's like space provided for it, and connect all the SATA cables which come with your motherboard. There's two in this case, and connect it to the power source, to the cable from power supply. It's kind of a lot of cables at the back here, and the power supply cables are very rigid. So thanks to this Pentax case, we have a lot of like anchoring points to zip tie them and hide them away, which allows us to kind of close our back panel. So I'm connecting the SATA cable to the hard drive and also the power supply to the hard drive. Now I'm just pushing them through to connect to the SATA connectors on the motherboard, and we are good to go. Now I'm just checking for the which slot to use for my GPU, and it is the first slot. And now we're unboxing my GeForce GTX 1060, which is beautifully packed. Such a premium product. It's just pleasure. And you have to put it in the first slot, PCIe slot, and for that you're gonna need to unscrew a couple of the sort of black back protecting mounts, and you have to leave the first one on. In my case, I had to leave the first one on. And be careful, guys, just when you want to remove your motherboard, not motherboard but GPU, there's a sort of a locking mechanism that keeps it in place when you first time stick it in there. So you have to find it and maybe get your finger or something that could unlock that lock, so you can pull it out. As me, when I was pulling out my GPU for the first time, I actually kind of panicked what's wrong, and I started kind of yanking on it, and it's not the best option. You can actually damage your GPU. So now I'm getting ready, I'm connecting everything, and I'm pressing the power button, and I'm pressing the power button on the motherboard. I'm checking my monitor, and nothing is going on. And a lot of swearing again. I have no idea what's going on. There are no fans spinning, no case fans spinning. I literally have no idea what's going on. My only guess was that was something wrong with the motherboard, and therefore I ordered a new one. I sent it back to the Amazon, and I ordered the Mini ITX ASRock motherboard, which was very cheap, new motherboard, and I got it next day delivery after having a couple of unlucky tries with other motherboards. And we see it starts straight away. Nothing had to be done, and you can see how it looks. We have a lot of space underneath the GPU, and all the blue colors of the ASRock motherboard are hidden. You can see our white LEDs on RAM, which doesn't look as bad as I thought it might be. It's kind of cool, and I'm really happy that the all blue colors are hidden behind a big cooler, and this is how it looks on my table. I love this case. It makes no noise, everything is perfect. And I also overclocked to the 4.45 gigahertz. At max temperatures it gets up to, when I stress test it, is 70 degrees Celsius. So here it is, boys and girls. Couple of weeks later, we finally got our system running, and it's beautiful. Everything was perfectly fine. Although it took way much longer than I would like to, I finally got to play with my computer. So if you like this video, if you have any questions, please post your questions down below in the comment section, or come to my Twitch channel and ask me questions live. Well, thank you for watching, guys.